to it.
Good for you. Oh, we're recording already.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, well then we're just gonna keep going, and I'll cut that out unless it's good. I don't remember. We'll keep it.
If it flows with it.
Okay, everybody, this is Sean Fahie.
Hey.
Will you say your website?
SeanFahieStudio.com.
And I will put that below here.
Oh, thank you.
Because now that I can edit, I can do that.
There you go. See, you do the things you don't want to do, but you gain the knowledge of them, and then pass that on to somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm actually quite proud of myself because editing was never something that I felt passionate about, and now I find myself being like, man, that's good.
What got you wanting to film and edit, I guess, these vlogs?
Made a documentary with my husband while he was sick, and I became obsessed with the process. I became part of the production company because I just wanted to, I had so many ideas and I wanted to have a say over what we were filming and when we were filming, and it was really quite a passion project. And so then when I was like, I should do this by myself now, I had to edit because it's not like I'm hiring anyone yet. So.
Now you're just sitting on a bunch of footage, you're like, yeah.
So you figure it out. When you're like really called to do something, you're like, okay, I guess I'm figuring it out.
That is a very true statement.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, kids. Real adults talking here.
There's some words that are not kid friendly. Maybe don't watch this with your little babes.
Yeah.
But it's all love.
Oh yeah, it's a great conversation.
Trust.
But, there's colorful words. Colorful words.
So, I met Sean at the ABV gallery.
Possibly. I thought it was Cat Eye.
No, it was Cat Eye.
Yeah.
Because I went with a friend, and that friend left me. And then I was by myself, and I've been doing a lot of being in social situations to get myself back out in the world, and there's times where I absolutely thrive, and then there's times where I panic, and so I was feeling a little uncomfortable, and I just walked up to Sean, who has mutual friends with my friends, so I kind of already knew of you, and I was like, hi, I'm Hope.
I was like, what is going on? I don't owe you money, do I? Like, what the hell?
And you were really nice. You hung out with me until I got my Uber. Yeah. Let me pick your brain about writing. Yeah. And ever since then, every art show that I see you at, every time I start to feel just a twinge of anxiety, I come and I'm like, hi. How's it going?
The irony of you standing next to the person with the most social anxiety. It's like, this is too many people. Ah!
Maybe it's like a kindred spirit, or it's more that when somebody has anxiety, they actually find themselves being more grounded. Yeah. Because it's like you have to do the practices to be okay in that space, and people can just feel that sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm
good, and I'm normally good in most spaces with a lot of people, but every once in a while you might catch me with some whiskey, and that's just to take the edge off.
And every once in a while you might catch me stealing his whiskey.
Yeah. Next time you got to bring the whiskey.
Yeah, I owe Sean quite a few shots of whiskey. So Sean's actually a multi-dimensional.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Multi-hyphenate artist.
Yeah.
Writer, poet, rapper, even though
I don't rap
I asked him to rap, he said no.
No, I'm retired from that game.
But you've written 4 books?
I've written 4 books, yes.
And you've also been published.
Yeah, my first 3 books published, and I guess technically, it's a long story, but I'm starting me and my partner out in Cali, Matt, who runs Mansfield Outpost, we are now publishing my books through our venture. So
that's exciting.
It's been fun. The next plan is to get books in physical stores. I think I have a book reading in April 15th. I keep forgetting these dates, and I should have known this for this conversation.
If it's a different date, I'll write a little.
It's definitely mid-April because I have to design all the marketing and start getting on that.
And that's another thing you do, right?
I design,
graphic design and
digital illustration. So my bread and butter is design, branding, and digital illustration. So I've one-man studio / agency, basically. So yeah.
It's really quite impressive, actually.
Thank you.
And how does everything kind of interconnect with each other?
Honestly, it's all coming from me. Like I'm the artist, so all of these things are just little parts of me that I've always been interested in since a kid, and then kind of just kept going with it.
Yeah.
So like me writing, I was always like writing poems or whatever as a kid, and then I did end up like rapping and getting really good at that. And then when I quit rapping, I was like, well, I keep writing. And then I ended up in a book deal just by happenstance, but my friend was really looking out for me. And art is always, it's always been in my life. So I
Were you
didn't.
drawing as a kid?
Oh, yeah. Since earliest memories, like 4, 5 drawing. And like, actually, like my cousin was an artist. And it still is an artist, but he used to make his own comics, and I would try to ink over his comics, and he'd be like, I guess here's the ones he didn't feel like that were great. He'd let me draw on, and then he'd keep the good ones for himself.
I love that. So you've been practicing your whole life.
Yeah. It was either this or be a ninja. I keep saying that, but I'm dead serious. I saw Ninja Turtles, I was like, I can do that. I could not do that.
I saw Ninja Turtles.
It's like, why not? Why not me? That's how I feel about everything. Well, if they can do it, why not me?
I appreciate that, actually, that spirit, because it's true. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So you have like the brightest energy. You always make people laugh. Are there moments where that is not accessible? And if so, what do you have to do to come back to that?
I was just talking about this with a friend. I'm very fortunate. A friend of mine, she called me pathologically positive. And
I'm obsessed with that.
I've been saying it ever since she called me that. But I tend to see things on the positive side, but I have to work at it. It's like going to the gym for my mind. But I handle depression, and it's dealing with all the human emotions. Like, I'm just getting better at realizing something's off. And then trying to recognize what that off is. And like, oh, I am depressed. And then sitting in the depression or the sadness and letting it live in my body, because it's also a part of me as much as being happy is. And then the trick for me is like making sure I don't fall too deep into it. Yeah. And coming back out of it.
Make your home there.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll take some time. I got an emo hoodie. It's all black hoodie. I lay in bed. I like watch a movie or something, like, or I just don't talk to people. Like, so when I'm in my depression, very few people really hear from me. It's like just close people that I feel comfortable. Yeah. Most times these days, though, when I'm depressed, I'm broke. That's really all I realize. It's like, oh, I'm broke. That's why I'm depressed. Yeah. Most things around me, I can kind of take with a grain of salt, or it's like, I did the best I could, and I can't control anything else outside of what I can control. Yeah. I'm gonna just let it flow. But when I'm broke, it's like, God damn it.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Because like, without stability, everything else seems to start to fall apart. It's like hierarchy of needs. Like, you gotta be able to feed yourself, have a roof over your head. So do you have any practices that you use to not stay in it? I also love, by the way, that you're like, I don't try to rush out of it. I kind of embrace it because I know it's part of the human experience. I think that's part of resiliency in the human spirit, is like, we're supposed to learn to be a little bit accepting of the bad feelings. It's not supposed to be good vibes only. Like, part of the beauty of the good vibes is getting through some of the rough chapters. So I appreciate you saying that. But that being said, I agree, like, making home in it isn't always productive. Yeah. So what are your processes?
I mean, it depends. Like, I'm fortunate enough that my creative background helps me to get out my thoughts. So I'm either journaling, or I could turn to painting, or I'll just go for a walk. You know what I mean? Like, exercising is a great way to really get out of a funk. I don't do a lot of exercising, 100%. But I'm cardio, ride my bike, or do a walk. I mean, every once in a while, I'll just give in and just drink a lot. I'm not saying you should do that, but
don't do that.
Don't do that. But I might have a night where it's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get drunk.
And does it actually help you feel better, or does the next day you feel like that wasn't really what I needed?
It depends. It depends on the severity of depression.
Oh, yeah. Because alcohol is a depressant.
It's 100% a depressant. 100%.
It's like counterintuitive to be like, let me drink this thing.
But in the moment, it's like, oh, my worries. Who cares? Yeah. But don't do that. Just jokes, all right? Jokes.
This is a do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. Do all the positive things. I would say.
Well, and I mean, we're also humans, and we all have our human experience. And I think there's a lot of times, like, there's been plenty of times where I'm like, why did I have that extra drink last night? Because I was anxious. Well, that's not how I want to manage my anxiety. And it's just a mindfulness activity usually for me. I love that you mentioned journaling. Obviously, I'm journal obsessed. I've made a couple YouTube videos about journals. I really love it. And so do you actually have an artistic process where you like journal your ideas out before they come into like full books?
Oh yeah, 100%. I have too many journals, and I keep my phone. The notes in my phone is like any silly thought I have, I just write it down because I'm a firm believer. What is it? Ernest Hemingway. Well, he's called going back to drinking. It's like write drunk, edit sober.
Yeah.
I always like that, but you can take that outside of the context of drinking, where it's just like getting your mind space where you can just write your thoughts freely and not be afraid of it touching the paper and you're like, oh my God, this isn't good or something. Like, no, this is my journal.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's good or not.
No one's going to see this.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm going to edit down the bad parts anyway. Yeah.
What is it? Write the bad first draft?
Oh, I don't know this one.
I think that's what it is. It's an acronym, but I think I might be butchering it, so don't quote me on it. But it's true. I think that a lot of people get hung up on trying to write everything perfectly right away, and a journal gives you an opportunity to just
scribble, scrabble, get it out.
Have you heard of Morning Pages?
Nuh-uh.
Do you know Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way?
I'm horrible with names, and I feel like I should.
I'm horrible with names.
Yeah.
I don't like. This is an ancient book. It's not really that ancient, but
The Artist's Way. I should know this book, shouldn't I?
But the one main takeaway I've taken from Julia Cameron is Morning Pages, and basically you just brain dump in a journal, 3 pages every morning, and the theory of it is like there's a whole lot of junk just living in our brains, all the spiraling, all the random thinking, and if you get it out, that's where your genius is. And I've been doing Morning Pages ever since I found her, and it's probably the most life-changing thing I've ever done.
And is this just literally just waking up fresh from a sleep and just going in?
Yeah, just scribbling. And sometimes it's like, I don't have anything to say today, so I'm just going to say nothing until something comes to me. And eventually, because I'm just like letting the pen hit paper, there's some sort of magic that takes over.
Yeah. You get out of your own way that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's oh God, let's see, we're quoting people. Escher, MC Escher, not MC Escher. Oh my God, what's the dude that does vivid, hyper-realistic paintings? He has glasses, beard. Anyway, he was like, how do you get out of the lapse? He's like, you just do the work. Long story short, you just got to do the thing. You know what I mean? So,
honestly, that is what it is. You have to show up.
Yeah. Like people want to manifest without putting in work. Which is impossible.
What's the quote? It's like, everything I want is behind the work I'm avoiding. And you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
You're calling me out, but like, true. It's like, I'm the only one stopping me.
Yeah. That's really it.
So, what about self-doubt? Because, a lot of art, there's a lot of creative people in Atlanta.
Yes,
so, do you struggle with it? And if so, how do you push through that?
I definitely struggled with it more as a younger artist. These days, I had a real epiphany that, because I know a lot of artists in the city, and rightfully so. 90% of them are better than me. But
Atlanta has
talent, a lot of talent. But you know what they do? Like, they're them and I'm me.
Exactly.
And I came to that realization. It was like, oh. And once it hit, I was like, oh, well then fuck that. Excuse me, I know I'm a person, but I'm like, yo, forget this.
I'm going to put a bird song over every curse word.
But that realization really made me solidified the confidence I had. Because also on top of that, I was like, I spent years at my practice.
Yeah.
And irregardless of who may be better or who isn't better, has nothing to do with my practice and or my life.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, oh, I can do this. it was the most freeing thought I could have had for myself.
Well, and a lot of it is finding your own voice.
Yeah.
And I love your art. I already asked you to make me some art for my new loft. So, you know, I'm a fan. Obviously, I'm have you on my YouTube channel. But, like, what did you do to find your voice? Like, how would you tell somebody who's struggling to find their voice? Because I think that's one of the biggest ways to get through self-doubt is to recognize, like, this is my voice. And it's different than everyone else's voice, even if they make art that's way better. Like, how did you find it, or what advice can you give to people?
I think we mentioned it earlier. You just do the work.
Yeah.
That's like you can't avoid the work. Let me look in the camera. You cannot avoid the work, whether it's inner work, mental work, emotional work, physical work.
All the work.
You have to do the work, and you're human. You can take days off. You can rest. I nap a lot, but I just kept going, and I still feel like I'm trying to find my voice, or solidify the voice that I feel I have now, and just shine it up some more. You know, make it glisten. But I don't think I'm where I want to be yet. But I'm definitely comfortable with who I am.
I like that. So we're happy with where we're at, but we're forever striving to grow, which is kind of how I feel about life in general. You know, I also came to your artist talk. What did you call it?
Process.
Process, which is funny because process is my whole spiel. So how could I forget that it's process? And honestly, it was such an inspiring night. The energy in that room was like vibrating.
Ah, nice. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, everybody there was creative, and they were really interested in your process and everyone else's process. What about doing an artist talk inspires you? Like, what made you decide to do that?
So in one of the many things I used to do, I used to throw events, and the last event with my homie Reggie we did called Pretty Sweet was at Sound Table, and it was a summertime event. And even before that, I used to throw just different events. So I'm used to kind of moderating and emceeing, and so that helped with. Well, I want to bring people together, but I'm not trying to host a party. I'm kind of burnt out on doing that. And I used to, at my old spot, have people just come over. It was like a salon style. They bring what you're working on. We get 2-buck chuck from Trader Joe's back in the day when it was 2-buck chuck.
When it was
2-buck chuck. And people would just come to my spot, and we would just kind of have these think tanks. Or even if you just wanted to hang out and chill, I'd play music. So
that's cool.
I'm translating all of that into these talks because I'm a little older now. I don't want my space to I don't mind hosting people, but not like how I used to. It was a little rambunctious. And so this is just a well-planned, well-thought-out way to just kind of pick people's brains. As much as it is for the audience, it is for me as well.
Yeah.
And so the first one I did was at Atlanta Worldwide, and it was right after COVID. And I remember being in the house, and I was just like, I think people want to meet up and actually like talk, and like I think the ear is a little clearer now. Yeah. So that one went over well, and I don't really have like a timeline for them. So the second one, very fortunate that Rosette Four Keeps was down to host us.
That was the coolest bookstore. Highly recommend you all to go.
Four Keeps, hit her up, hit the store up. It's really well curated books in there. So.
Yeah.
And but long story short, when I'm in the energy and spirit, I really do like connecting with people. I like hearing their stories. I like, what's the best way I can put it? Like, I know I'm still in my practice trying to figure it out. I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a gathering and having people like that, it just it feels like an actual safe space.
Yeah. And there was also a lot of like-minded people really feeling inspired by each other's process and the way in which people were working through things, and and I met a lot of people that are now my friends through that.
Nice. That's part of the process.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And you know, since being back in Atlanta, that's been my number one thing. It's like, I need a community, I need friends, and that's why I go put myself in situations where I know nobody, and often come find you so that I can be like.
Well, are you from Atlanta?
I'm from Pennsylvania. I moved to Atlanta in 2006 for grad school.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then when
what was your graduate study?
Psychology.
So why did I even ask? That's so obvious.
See the way I looked at you?
Yeah. Fair enough.
Speaking of psychology, though, like, what does art or even just creating do for your well-being? Is it, like, for me, I became an artist while I was taking care of my husband because I was like, if I don't do something, I feel like I'm going to lose my mind. And I never thought I was a painter. And then I had to work through the whole, like, I'm a bad painter.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I'm like, actually like my paintings, even if no one else does, because of what it does for me. So do you have that kind of element with the, like, wellness?
Yes, and you just described my painting process. I was like, this is trash. This isn't that bad. Okay, I can paint.
Yeah.
To this day, that's literally my process.
This might be like the artist's universal language.
As for wellness, like I mentioned earlier, I'm very grateful that I have this expressive outlet. And I say this with no ill will or diss. Is like I don't know how people go through life without being able to like express some of that junk that's in their head.
I agree.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
I agree.
Not being able to get it out, I could find myself being much more frustrated about life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we were talking earlier about like the Atlanta community. How does that, like, because it's massively creative. How does that influence your work, or does it in any way?
It definitely does. But I think it's like more because it's an underlining thing. Like, it's like at this point in I've been in Atlanta on 17 going on 18 years.
From where?
I moved from Savannah, but I'm originally Virgin Islands. Then I lived in Augusta, went to college in Savannah, and then Atlanta.
Do you ever miss the Virgin Islands?
I'm going back like next week for my mom. She's got that's the whole thing, but I'm gonna go home. I'm literally going home next week. But these days, I think the influence is just kind of in a part of me now. You know what I mean? Like just my journey in Atlanta. There's just certain things where it's just like I don't know, the energy of Atlanta. If this is making sense, is like. I don't know. I like that this is a city full of greenery and trees, but it's also
I can, forest.
But I can get gritty if I need to. You know what I mean? So I think just when I went out a lot more and seeing those stories and being a part of some of these stories definitely influenced me. It's like all my books are about me being the rambunctious young black man in Atlanta. Like there's no way I was not influenced, and visually. I don't know. I guess so. It's still in some form or fashion. I think more with my art, though, I'm more influenced by what's happening all around me. Yeah. And with people around me and their stories and the stories that are affecting, people that look like me. So,
I love that. Yeah. Speaking of books, do you want to talk about them?
Sure. Yeah.
You've written 4 books.
Yeah.
What are their titles?
Oh, God. The first one is Things About Women and Other Short Stories I Seem to Forget. And that I still love that title to this day.
I love that title so much.
Because it throws you off. Things about what do you know about? Shit. Got me. Second one is Letters to Lovers Who Love to Hate Me. Also, I just like
great title. All of his titles are great. I already know all these. I just want him to talk to him about you. Or him to you about them.
And that one is more a conceptual book where I was actually writing letters to certain emotional aspects in different aspects of my life. And then it would pen pal back. So I'd write a letter to my happiness. There's a letter to death. There's a letter to my younger self. There's also a section in that book where I had to do some community service, and I just kind of journaled my everyday at community service. And that was fun. I didn't do anything crazy. I got caught fucking doing graffiti and shit. But me and a friend were painting at not Crog Tunnel, where the Beltline is now, where the skate park is. But before that, it used to be called Foundation. It was an old skate spot. You could just paint. It was just paint there. So we went there with the idea that you still can do that. And some gentleman was not happy that we were painting. This was the weekend of Dr. King weekend. And the cops pull us over, and I talked my way straight out of going to jail. Because they were like, we're going to have to take you to the holding, then you have to wait till Tuesday, because Monday's holiday. I was like, I ain't going to jail. And then and I talked, he was like, all right, and just wrote us up a ticket, so I still had to do community service.
Oh my God. First of all, to get a ticket for that is wild now. Think about
I mean, no, you still,
I guess you
yeah, it's
can,
still
'cause that's
illegal.
why
Yeah,
Bane wouldn't come to the
yeah,
show.
yeah. There's like, I mean, there's like free walls, or you could, become a muralist and get paid and everything. But graffiti has to do it for the love. Like, I wasn't even going up that heavy. Like, but I would still just go out and have fun and work on shit. But yeah, everybody gets caught. At some point in time. Let me not jinx everybody, but it's part of the game.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. But that book, Letters to Lovers, and then the third book is Chocolate Covered Honey Buns, and that is
Another great title.
Yes, but a double entendre. At that point in my life, money was slow, and they used to sell chocolate covered honey buns 2 for $1. So I would eat one and like go to sleep on it, and then and just have the energy. And then it's chocolate covered honey buns, Black women, and my love for them.
Amazing. When did you put the connection that you were going to tie those two together and like title your book that? I just like the way your brain was this is great.
If I'm being honest, I was laying in bed eating a chocolate covered honey bun, and one of my old neighbors came through. She's like, "You're always eating those things. You should name your next book Chocolate Covered Honey Bun." And I went, "Huh?" And then I went, yeah. But also, it's a innuendo and all the things, and so yeah, that's how that works itself out.
I love that so much.
But all the titles kind of, I like alliterations, and again from the rapping, it was like, oh, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last one, last year's Most Interesting Negro, is
also a great title.
It's but it was just a look at what was going on in society at the time, and as changes were being made, I have been alive long enough to watch those changes be forgotten. And that's why the title is that, where it's like, you're only as funky as your last cut, to quote Outkast, you know what I mean? So, yeah. And those are the titles.
Are you going to write another book?
I do have plans for it. I'm always writing.
That's what
But I don't know what the next book looks like. I don't know if I'm going to do it in the same fashion as those, or is it going to be more illustrative with, some of the story. I have no idea, but yeah,
I just got really excited. Like, I could just imagine a book with your writing and your art.
Like, I should have been doing, like, the last one has some, I started putting more of my art in it. I don't know why I wouldn't blend the two worlds, but
I've flipped through all of your books. Troy has them all, and I've flipped through them, and read through them.
Some ridiculousness in there.
No, I'm a fan. Obviously, that's why we're here. Like, I just, I think, like you said, whenever there's things going on in your world, that you want people that are also in your experience to be able to have somebody to come and be like, you know what, thank you for writing about that. This is like an experience I'm having, and I needed some sort of light, or just somebody else to express what I'm feeling. And so I think that's like why art is so beautiful, and why you're so beautiful and important.
I appreciate it. I remember looking very hard for I was a fan of the beat poets and the Bukowskis and the Vonnegut's and stuff, but I was looking for my story in those styles. I'm certain they exist, but I didn't find them. And I wasn't going out trying to do that. I just realized, because of the advent of Twitter, it was like, and reading Bukowski, I'm gonna be honest, it's like, I can just write like I'm talking to somebody at the bar. Oh, say less. I got that. Like, that's nothing. Because in my mind, it's like, I'm supposed to write a novel and 400 pages. I was like, I'm making myself tired.
That's why I haven't written my book yet. Cause
but like, for your writing practice, like, because I was just telling my friend this, it's like, all I do is collect the stories.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the next book or anything. I'm just collecting my thoughts. And then by the time, I'm just saying 3 years have passed, I have got a book. Yeah. And now it's just for me to like edit it down. And
it's really just you already being in that practice of paying attention and writing stories and expressing everything you're going through in that way anyways.
Yeah. As you were talking, I'm just going to see what my last note was.
Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't anything ridiculous.
If it was something ridiculous, I'm still going to make you read it.
Da. We've spread democracy right out of America.
Ooh.
See, but these are like story ideas.
I like that.
It's wild how everyone that knows you has their perspective. Like, this is just me just sitting around BSing.
So this is another version of a journal for you, your notes
100%.
app.
Yeah, 100%.
I wake up in the middle of the night and open Google Docs and just talk into it. Sometimes I wake up the next day and I'm like, what? And other times I wake up the next day and I'm like, that's actually really genius.
Yeah. But that's how that works. That's how it should work. And for all the practices, your creative practice, your work, like we're really just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You hope to I don't have plans, but I have goals. I feel like goals, you don't stress yourself out as much. And then how I work the goal is how I work the goal. So, but most times just me throwing stuff at the wall, see what sticks.
So, do you have plans of leaving Atlanta, or are you planning on like staying put?
I honestly think, I think Atlanta's home. I've been here. It always feels like, I remember driving into the city. I was like, oh, I'm home.
Yeah.
And I'm a big purveyor though of traveling. Like I've done book readings in not New York because I was supposed to, but LA. Like you gotta travel. It's the one thing about this city that I still don't understand, where we have all these creatives and some of them are very well respected. A lot of them are very well respected, but a lot of them had to leave to come back to get that respect. And it's a thing that kind of Atlanta, for whatever reason, it's like, they were always here.
Yeah.
You should have showed them the love when they were here. That's why they had to leave. And not only, forget the love, the financial aspect of it too.
Yeah.
It's like, they should be getting paid more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway. So to answer your question, yes, Atlanta's home. But
I feel that way. Well, obviously, I just bought a home here.
Yeah. You kind of locked in.
Because I've been here since 2006, and I was like, I'm coming up next year will be 20 years.
20 years, yeah. So I definitely here after 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe 2009. I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah, I had that same feeling whenever I got here. I remember calling my mom after my first winter, and I was like, I don't think I'm ever coming home. Because the whole plan was come to grad school and then go back to Pennsylvania and figure out what was next. And after, I literally was here for 6 months, and I was like,
What's Pennsylvania like?
It depends on the area you live. You know, like I live hour outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Pittsburgh is fun.
Yeah, I got some homies from Pittsburgh.
It's alive. Used to be very dirty. But I live in the mountains, and I really treasure the nature aspect of it.
Okay.
But I've always wanted to experience more that you don't get in like small town. And I think that's also what made me fall in love with Atlanta. It's like there's every type of person here, and that's what I feel like people need to be exposed to. I feel like if we all actually mixed with every type of person in the whole wide world,
you wouldn't have ignorant takes of people.
100%. And so, you know, when I moved back up to the mountains after Steve died, I kind of was taken right back into that world, and I realized same mountains, different state, same thing, it still hasn't changed. And a lot of people are afraid of immersing themselves in other cultures and meeting other people, and that's why travel is so important, and that's why putting yourself in experiences of other people is so valuable, because you can't stay in a box.
No.
And I think that's why I fell in love with Atlanta, because it's just a beautiful blend, and then everyone is just also out there doing their thing. Impressively so. There's a lot of impressive people in Atlanta. And it could be like you were saying earlier, it can be kind of intimidating if you get into the comparison. But it's like, if I were to compare people who I graduated grad school with, who are like super successful in their careers right now, it wouldn't be fair. I left for 10 years to take care of my husband.
Well, there you go.
So we're all on our own journeys, and everyone's experience is so unique that I don't think comparing yourself to anyone in Atlanta is productive.
You lose your mind doing any comparison.
Exactly.
Like this is where my ego and confidence really kicks in, because I just know there's no other me, and I don't mean that with like ego. Like
I love that so much. No, it's true. There's no other me in it. Yeah.
Like I'm a G because I'm me. Like I don't know what else to say.
Oh, that should be your next book. You heard it here first, y'all.
But no, for real, it's like that's the. And don't get me wrong, we're still human. Of course, I still to this day have the people I look up to. It's like, oh man, if I only took more time and hours, but you know, I've got to be okay with I didn't take the more time and hours, but I'm still good at what I do. I still get hired to do what I do. People still enjoy my work, which is amazing. Thank you for hiring me. If you guys are watching this, I appreciate it.
All of his information is going to be here, and you should
continue to hire me. I'm trying to have a sassy summer.
Me too, honestly. Hire me as well while we're at it. Come to my workshops I'm about to announce. I was just telling you about that. Doesn't it sound great? I'm not going to give the details yet. But.
All right. But yes, please go to Hope's workshop. It's going to be fun. And you'll get some exercise. I can say that much.
You can say that much, yeah.
Right.
You'll get some therapy and outside time and exercise.
There you go.
Man, that's like win-win-win.
Yeah. And you probably meet people too.
That part. That's why I'm really excited to do in-person things, because right now, more than ever, we need community. Mm-hmm. And it's the only thing that's going to get everyone through the chaos is our people. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see, every natural disaster I have witnessed happen in the last, not even just a year, but the last year has been really loud and prominent. It's like community support has literally built these people back up, and still building them back up, honestly.
Yeah.
But we're nothing without our community, and so I thanks for being a part of mine.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks for letting me introduce you to my online community.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry for cursing. Listen, I live the pirate's life, baby.
Really,
I don't know what to tell you.
It's really only my niece and nephews that I'm only ever protective of, because they are like obsessed with my YouTube channel.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But they're also like, it's not the first time they've heard the F word.
Yeah. But still.
Yeah, but one day, YouTube is gonna pay me.
Yeah. That's coming. We manifest over here.
And they're gonna be like, no swears.
Yeah. I don't think you can swear in the first 30 seconds, and then you can do whatever you want. Yeah. So you might be good. Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you feel like you want to share, say?
What is there? I don't know. I'm just, if you've not heard of me, my name is Sean Fahie. I'm a creative. I've been in the scene for a while. You hang out at enough dive bars, you meet the crazy creatives. I ended up hanging out in dive bars. I used to skate, so also all crazy creatives. All the things that would lead you to meeting people is why I know a bunch of people. Music did all that, but now these days you can find me online at Google Sean Fahie. My website will come up. IG, all the things.
I'll put all his details too. You all should follow him too, because he shares great music on a regular. And I've often been like, dude, can I have a playlist?
Yeah.
Because you're real sharing on your stories. I'm always like, what's Sean posting today? Like, I feel like he curates.
I do. I thank you for noticing.
But it's just, you're creative and you're inspired by creative expression, so it's natural that you end up curating your social media in such a way. It's quite cool, actually.
I honestly, I appreciate that, and thank you for saying that. And I was talking to somebody in my DMs. It was like, I just want to. There's enough hate in the world. I don't need to post what I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm posting the things I enjoy.
Yeah.
And everything else is like, well, if I don't like it, I don't need it. I can talk to the people in person or talk about my dislikes. I don't need to spread any more of that on the internet. It's a lot. It's a wasteland right now over here on this thing.
I always tell people, it's like, if you don't see me vocal, it does not mean that I am complacent. I'm doing the work within and without silently, and I'm also trying to bridge gaps. Like, I'm trying my hardest to be like, hey, I don't know if I understand why you think that way, and I'm sure you don't understand why I think that way, so maybe we should have a conversation.
Yep.
And so I'm always trying to be really careful not to close the doors on anybody.
And that's a very logical thing to do, but we live in illogical times right now. So.
Well, and I think it's because we're all taught that, like, oh, I'm triggered, so let me avoid that, but it's like, actually triggering is not something to avoid.
Yeah, you're supposed to learn from these. I remember growing up, I was like, well, I respect that we now have the words for emotions, and I was a big people pleaser, and I had to learn that saying no is okay. I had to learn healthy boundaries. It's like, yo, I'm not going out of my way to piss you off. I'm going out of my way to make sure I'm okay in this situation. And if I'm okay, I can be okay for you.
100%.
But
then we've taken those terms and we've took it too far.
I don't disagree. I don't disagrry. It's like, you're just mad at this person. They're not a narcissist. Do you know the percentage of actual narcissists in the world?
Yeah.
Very low.
As a therapist, my number one thing where I'll say, I was like, maybe they have a trait,
Yeah.
but we can't be diagnosing everyone with narcissism.
And my brain, I was like, I'm certain we all have a little narcissism, a little egotism. Like, we're human beings, like, and it might pop out from time to time. But and I don't want to downplay the people who actually unluckily dated narcissists, because
and then those people, I'm still working through their trauma from that. Like, that's when you know it's a real experience. Yeah, that was just a little rabbit hole brought to you by everyone. Please just learn to sit in the discomfort.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Discomfort helps you grow.
It is going to make you a better person, I promise.
100%.
And I'm also here to help you through it if you need it. Okay, you gotta plug with something now.
You got.
This is supposed to be all about him. Who's a narcissist now?
Yes, that's hilarious.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm going to put all this information. He is as delightful as he's coming across here.
I appreciate it.
I told him, let's just have a conversation. You be you, because you're already lovely.
Thank you. And I missed my nap, so this is...
That's a big deal. I feel very important right now.
I plan on cooking a chicken sandwich and eating that for lunch and napping for a strong hour and a half.
All right. Well done.
I appreciate this conversation. This was lovely.
You.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.